You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is episode number 144. Jia Jiang is here, and we're talking about the value of being rejected.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
Jia Jiang is back at Red. We had you here earlier, Jia. redpodcast.com/103 for that. You're the rejection guy, and maybe you're finding out about rejection because the book Rejection Proof, How I Beat Fear and Became Invincible Through 100 Days of Rejection just came out. And that's always nerve-wracking the first week of a book launch because you do run into rejection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often say this to myself. Writing a book is almost like raising a kid. And now it's published, is out. It feels like sending him or her to college. You can spend all the time you want just reading up all the parenting books and just work, spending quality time with him and or endure those terrible teenager years. But you try to protect him and give her knowledge. But now it's time the kid goes to college and he or she is going to become his own person. And I can only do so much. So I've done my best as an author in terms of writing and promoting and everything that I can. Now it's time for it to go out on its own to see if it can become its own person. And it's nerve-wracking for the same reason that you send your kid to college.
Well, let's talk about just a quick review on rejection therapy. What is rejection therapy?
This idea was invented by this Canadian gentleman. His name is Jason Comley. It's a game that for 30 days you basically go get rejected on purpose. Every day will give you some instructions to do something weird. Because the idea is if you do that for 30 days, it's going to desensitize yourself from the pain. So I took this idea at the time I was running my company, and I started a blog, and I did this for 100 days, not 30 days, 100 days. And I made up my own rejection rules, my own ideas. And I filmed myself using my iPhone and put it on YouTube.
So for 100 days, because you really had to get desensitized, 30 days was not enough for you, you would purposely get rejected. You videotaped the entire thing, and people jumped in relatively quickly, and they were actually giving you ideas on how you could go out and be rejected.
Absolutely. It started as my just little blog, right? The little thing I was sharing with the world, and I would film myself and YouTube. The thing is, one of my videos caught fire. It became a big news at the time. And then a lot of people started following me afterward. They thought the idea of someone going after rejection, going to embrace rejection every day for 100 days is somehow inspiring. It's like, a lot of them telling me that they're living through their fear through my eyes. Somehow this was therapeutic. So pretty quickly, people started to follow and people started giving me ideas. So toward the end, I had a lot of ideas, and not all of them are mine. I'll start with the first day. That's where I went up to a stranger and I asked him to borrow $100. He was a big guy. He looked like a security guard, and I asked him, "Can I borrow $100?" And he just looked up and said, "No." And why? And I was so scared that day. So as I was approaching him, I could just feel the hair at the back of my neck standing up, and I was sweating. As soon as I hear the word no, and before I hear the word why, I just say, "Oh, sorry, thank you, bye." I just turn around and run away. That night, I saw my own video, and I saw, I didn't see this guy as some sort of menacing figure. He wasn't like pulling out a taser or a pepper spray or anything. He was just, he just said no, but he asked me why. He invited me to extend my conversation. But because I was so scared, I just ran. And this was like, I felt was like a microcosm of my life. Every time I would hear someone say no to me, I would just leave. I would just quit. And so I told myself, no matter what happens going forward, I would not say no. I mean, I would not run. I would stay engaged and have some fun with it. That's the first day I already learned things. On day 3, this is where my world was turned upside down, where I went to a Krispy Kreme donut shop. For those of you who don't know, Krispy Kreme is in the U.S. and it's very popular in the southeastern part of the U.S.
It's like the Dunkin' Donuts of the South.
Yes. That was the year of the London Olympics. And I thought maybe I can ask them to make me donuts that look like Olympic rings. I thought that was fun. And there's no way they would say yes to that. Who does that? So I went in, I asked them, and the person took me so seriously, the donut maker. She was jotting down the rings and coming up with the color. And 15 minutes later, she came out with a box that looked like Olympic donuts. And that just floored me. The type of customer service and human kindness shown in that episode was just crazy. Apparently, the world thought that was crazy too. The video got viewed over 5 million times. Also got me thinking, I say this is almost a turning point of my 100 Days of Rejection, or in a way in my life, because I thought, how many more, I got this donut because I asked, right? I asked the person. How many donuts did I miss because I didn't ask? And I thought there's no way I was going to get it. And that was my mentality for most of my life. I wouldn't ask for things because I didn't think people would say yes to me. I was for sure that I was going to get rejection. And that fear of getting rejected held me back for so long. And that donut dispelled that fear and made me want to ask for everything possible, anything, everything I wanted, because I want to see, I don't want to be rejected by myself again. If anything one's going to reject me, it's the world. It can't be myself.
Right. It makes you wonder about the opportunities that you've missed. And I love that, the metaphor of a donut. How many donuts have we all missed?
Yes. Just because we didn't ask.
Give me one more favorite rejection story from the book.
This is where maybe later part of my 100 days, I went to teach a class at the UT Austin, so University of Texas in Austin. I had this dream about being a teacher. Not a dream, but kind of my family legacy. Because 4 generations of my family are teachers. I was the one who wanted to become an entrepreneur. But I've always wanted to someday teach at the local university. But I thought to do that, I would have to be invited. I would have to accomplish a lot. I would have to publish some paper or build a multi-million-dollar company or something like that. But since I was doing this 100 Days of Rejection thing, I thought I can ask anything, especially something I really want to happen, like my dream. So I went, I knocked on a professor's door, and I said, "Can I teach your class?" At first, he thought I was trying to sell him something. And he said, "I'll give you 5 minutes to tell me what you're going to say." I said, I want to teach your class. And then I pulled out my iPad where I prepared that lecture in PowerPoint, and I showed him what I knew, and I want to see if he can let me teach his class. And he said, okay, that's impressive. Sure, I'll let you do it. So he fit me into one of his class for social change class. A month later, I was teaching a lecture. I was giving a lecture to his students. And that just encompasses the whole idea of you have to ask if you want something. I mean, the world is not going to give it to you. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. You have to go ask and go out and look for things and go after your dreams. And because I asked, it's my lifelong dream. It wasn't that hard. It was accomplished just because I asked.
The 100 Days of Rejection that you did, I think you did rejection in a fun way. But this is really deep stuff that we're talking about, though. It's not just getting rejected from donuts or from a security guard or from teaching a class. These are things that will help you in business. They will help you with relationships. This is something I think that everybody can really benefit from, but especially entrepreneurs. This is going to change your life if you get used to and comfortable with being told no.
It's almost like a secret weapon that some people are just okay with no's. They look and sound fearless. They can approach investors or customers or whoever, just make their request. And a lot of times they get a yes from people. But most of us have this fear that people are going to laugh at us. think we're crazy, they don't trust us. So we should be very careful. Maybe after a couple rejections and or like, I'm done, right? I don't want this anymore. It's not like you're born with either courage or being a coward. It's something that you can exercise, you can gain. It's like a muscle. I call this the courage muscle. So the more you do this, the more you put yourself out of the comfort zone, the more courageous you become. That's why I tell people to try this every day, even.
I'm curious to know from day one, let's say your first week of rejections to the very end, if because you were feeling more comfortable about asking, I'm wondering if fear is something that the rejecter or the potential rejecter can smell, if maybe people were saying yes to you more often because you were more fearless?
Absolutely. I mean, when I started, I looked weird. I acted weird because I was expecting rejection. I was just trying to get my defense up for the no already. But then as I was doing this, I felt comfortable. I felt relaxed. I felt confident. I was trying to maintain eye contact. I was standing up straight. I was talking with the right pace. I didn't really care about a yes or no anymore. I care about how I did. I care about being confident. And that translated really well. People sensed the confidence. And plus, I threw in a lot of techniques. I read about a lot of these things in books and scientific research. But 100 Days of Rejection was my playground. I can validate or experiment on these theories myself with strangers every day. What should I say? How should I act? Eventually, I got so good at getting people to say yes to me. After 100 days, I got more yeses than nos.
Well, the book, it's called Rejection Proof, How I Beat Fear and Became Invincible Through 100 Days of Rejection. It is available now at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books. And my favorite part of this book is the very back. You've got something called the Rejection Toolbox, and this is one way that you can actually get more yeses where you're not rejected. And when you get a no, I love these steps. You sit with it, you alluded to that, and actually ask why you're getting a no.
The why is a magic word in a lot of ways. A lot of times people reject you, and the first thing, our reaction is either to argue or to run, right? Because rejection is painful. The word no is the most painful word in the English vocabulary. I tell people, don't run, don't get angry, don't argue. Ask why and stay engaged in the conversation and be positive. When you ask why, a lot of times people will tell you what the underlying reason for the rejection. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes what you are offering does not fit their situation. Sometimes they just can't. But if you can help them to solve that why, if you can collaborate with them to get a yes, a lot of times it's a win-win afterward. So ask why every time.
And before you give up, switch up. If they're giving you a reason why they don't want something, you can always ask again in a different way.
Studies have shown that if you make the same request in the same way over and over and over again, it can come to a point it becomes counterproductive. It becomes really diminishing return. But if you make the same request in different ways through different channels to different people, or if you ask for the different request to the same person. So if you switch up, the chances of you getting a yes goes up.
You know, one of the interesting things I thought about this book that would be helpful is that if you have a hard time saying no, if you're the potential rejecter yourself, because you're getting rejected so much yourself, this gives you a different perspective on rejection and can help you to say no more often.
Yeah, so what I learned is, I went to 100 different people, actually more than that, but basically 100 different people making strange requests. Sometimes they say no to me, and most of the time when they say no to me, I felt, okay, whatever, I just leave. But sometimes some people are mean, and that didn't make me feel too good. But sometimes then, some people were so good at saying no, it's almost like I call this the perfect rejection. They can say no to me and make me even like them more. So when we think about rejection, we're afraid more so than anything than getting rejected is to say no to people sometimes because we want to feel like we're jerks. We want to help people, And but the thing is, in life, we have to say no a lot of times. We don't have the infinite time and energy to fulfill every request that comes your way, right? We have to focus. And so saying no is essential skills. It's essential skill. So when I saw some people really know how to say no, I started tabulating the ways they do it. For example, sometimes when they say no, they don't just say no, they actually show you a way to get a yes. And a lot of times doesn't involve them. It's like, I sorry, I can't do this for you. But if you can do this, if you want this, talk to this person. Or if you want to do this, try this and sign up here. At that point, I know they're not rejecting me as a person. They're actually rejecting my request. And this is just one of the ways you can actually say no to people and not feel like a jerk. There are a lot of ways.
So 100 days of rejection, long over at this point. The
Yes.
book is out, but are you still practicing daily rejections now?
Not daily because I'm really busy, but I'm doing this as a maintenance stage, right? So just like exercise, I don't have to do this every day, but I try this 3 to 4 times a week just to maintain my muscle, just to maintain my mental edge. Because if I don't do it, I would atrophy. I would become the old me. That's what I do. I would go out on the street and sometimes ask people, "Hey, can I retie your shoe?" And just things like that. But when I ask it, I do it in a very harmless way and a fun way, so no one feels weird when I do it. So just for practice.
And I love that approach just in general, even from a business standpoint. If you were going for something a little more serious, the fun approach just keeps things light because none of this is really that serious. If you get a no, you go on to the next person.
Absolutely. And this doesn't just have to apply to these silly requests, this small request. In really big requests, I mean, sometimes when you want something really bad, we become so serious. We become this life and death. I got to have it, right? We're so nervous. But if you have this mentality of experimenting, even in real business requests, even as an entrepreneur, that this request might have consequence in the success or failure of your business, that mentality itself actually increases your chance of getting a yes because you learn and you improve, and also you relax. You don't seem too nervous. Most people don't want to say when they see you being nervous, they see the lack of confidence. That body language, that energy will definitely be sensed by someone else. Relax and have a curiosity that keep you learning and experimenting.
Did you think that you and rejection would ever get this big?
No way. I always thought if anything, I become successful in life, I was going to be focusing on doing a tech startup, right? Building the next great app or building the next Google or Twitter or whatever. I never thought that I could turn one of my biggest weaknesses into my strength or even a life mission. In the book David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, he talked about there are 2 types of people in the world. One is the people who focus on their strength, who only do what they're good at. And they can become pretty successful in life, sometimes really successful. But there are people who actually embrace their weakness and try to turn them into strength. And he used the example of people with dyslexia, and some of them become really successful because they learn how to deal with it. It's the people who embrace their weakness and run toward it and turn them into their strength. Those are the people who found profound truth and cure, and they can share it with the world. This turned into a life mission because I embraced my weakness.
And all the new opportunities. You've got a major book deal. And in the book, you talk about how Tony Hsieh, we know him from Zappos, he actually offered you a job.
Yeah, I give a talk at Tony Hsieh's downtown project. At the time, he was spearheading this project to turn Las Vegas into a hotspot for entrepreneurs. So I gave a talk, and he really liked my talk, and he loved my story. He was thinking maybe he should start a company, so my family will move to Las Vegas, and he would hire me with that company so I can speak, I can write a book for the company.
And speaking of saying no, that's exactly what you told him.
it was really hard because Tony Hsieh was really one of my idols, business idols. I would love to build a multi-billion-dollar company like he did with Zappos. But the thing is, I was an entrepreneur. I did not want to work for someone else that quickly after I quit my job, even though that was a great opportunity. So instead, I made another proposal about maybe he would invest in my company and I would think about moving to Vegas. That didn't work out in the end. That's okay. We're still in touch nowadays. But the thing is, sometimes you got to know what you really want instead of what's really flashy.
Yeah, and you handled the rejection well. You kept the lines open, and who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Yes, I would hope that's the case.
I want to reiterate that because I think that's so important. So many times when we get told no, we get defensive, we make excuses, we whine, cry, run away angry. That's a surefire way to completely kill an opportunity, not just the one you've just been rejected from, but any future opportunities. And there's always future opportunities because things change, people change, dreams change, people, places, everything changes.
I learned this to not argue, because how many times have you turned a no into a yes after arguing with emotions? And if you want to get help from someone, don't argue if someone says no. Try to collaborate with the person, trying to find out how you can actually turn that into a yes. Instead of saying, instead of being a defensive and, indignant there, saying, how can you say no to me? You should say yes to me because of 1, 2, 3. Collaborate. People want to help. Most people want to help. And if you just attack the why instead of the person, then a lot of times the no can turn into a yes.
100 Days of Rejection, big hit all over the internet, YouTube. You've got the new book. It's doing well. Do you feel pressure to have a big follow-up?
Yes and no. Okay. Yes, it's because I have expectations for me as an entrepreneur. I found a big problem. It's like the holy grail of entrepreneur, right? It's like you find a problem, then you develop a solution to it. And I know the fear of rejection is one of the biggest problems that really haunt all of us. So if I can find the solution, the perfect solution, whether that's through a book or a lot more than that, and I want to do it. I want to be the one who's doing it because I think that's going to leave a positive mark in the world. On the other hand, throughout my 100 Days of Rejection, I've developed this philosophy. That's called detaching myself from the results. I used to really want to get a yes. I really want to be successful. I wanted the results more than the process. But what I learned is sometimes the people who say yes to me or they say no to me, it says more about that person than me. It could be the person that his mood or his education, his background, his prejudice, his understanding. It's a lot of things that I can't control. What I could control is just going out there and ask. It's the same thing in entrepreneurship. There are a lot of luck involved. There are a lot of things involved. You cannot control those things. You cannot fully control the results. What you can control is the journey, is putting the maximum effort to put yourself in a position to succeed. So I will do everything I can to find the solution to the next thing, to this to this rejection journey. Whether that's successful or not, I don't know. But I will give my best effort and my most creative effort. That's the only thing I can control.
And we talked about when I had you on here before, which is at redpodcast.com/103. So many good things came out of this. You met so many great people that you wouldn't have met otherwise, and you really saw the humanity in people, and they saw the humanity in you. So not only will you get better at rejection by doing this practice, not only will you get more yeses because you'll be more confident, you're also going to meet a lot of great people. The book, it's called Rejection Proof, How I Beat Fear and Became Invincible Through 100 Days of Rejection. It is available now at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, wherever you buy books. John, is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have, something that you want to get out?
I always want to tell people this. There's often saying that, you should ask because the worst thing that can happen is someone say no to you. I keep telling people this. That's not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is if you don't ask, you are saying no to yourself by default. We're the best rejecter of ourselves. We say no all the time because we think we're assuming failure, we're assuming rejection. And, we don't want to be uncomfortable. So that's why we reject ourselves. And that's the worst outcome because you're for sure rejected if you don't ask. And so that's what I want to tell people. If you have a dream, if you need something, go ask. Ask people to help. Ask people to help you to achieve your dream, and give them a reason to do it. Tell them why you're passionate about this, why you need this help. And if you get rejected, use the skills that you'll find in the book or anywhere to turn that no into a yes. And if you still get rejected, try the next person. The world is so big, and don't get hung up on rejection.
Well said, well said. The book, Rejection Proof, How I Beat Fear and Became Invincible Through 100 Days of Rejection. Loved it. Laurel loved it. It's one of my favorite books of the year. Any entrepreneur, any person can benefit from this because we all face rejection, and you're saying to embrace it, face it even more to get better at it. Jia, thanks for being here on Red Podcast again.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.
This actually gives you a different perspective on that and can help you to say help you to say no more often. Let me try that one more time.
No problem.
This is going in the outtakes.
Okay.